Shabbat Shalom. Rabbi Alexander Duchovny of Ukraine sent a teary-eyed video around the Jewish world this week. Maybe you saw it. He stood hidden in the basement of a 5-story building built during Stalin's regime with his congregants, hiding from Russian airstrikes and bombardments. From that basement, he pled with us. He asked for support for the World Union for Progressive Judaism, known as the WUPJ, for him and for the Jewish families who still remain in Ukraine. He reminded us that we are one global Jewish family and that by supporting the WUPJ, we are supporting the values of Judaism and the values of humanity. We are helping to support democracy and sovereignty. And from that basement, with eyes full of tears, that rabbi preached. And what he said was this. He said, "Today is the last day of winter. Spring is coming. And no matter what, when spring comes, there is still hope left." When I first became involved with the global refugee crisis several years ago, I had to make the intellectual case to my congregation at the time that refugeeism was a Jewish issue. It wasn't a hard case to make. There's ample precedence in ancient text. We start the Passover Seder by saying, "My father was a wandering Aramaean." Every year we tell the story of our exodus from Egypt, of wandering in the desert, and there's ample modern precedent as well. Jews have been refugees from Germany, Ethiopia, Yemen, Syria, Iran, Iraq, Poland, Austria, Spain, and the list goes on and on. But still, that truth of Jewish refugeeism just wasn't present in the Jewish mind only a few short years ago. The experience wasn't necessarily a lived one. Tonight, I stand here as 300 Jews from Ukraine were airlifted out of their home country to Israel. They are refugees, once again. Jewish refugeeism is no longer something we recall. It's something we endure. So what should we do? What should we do about Ukraine, about the Jews, and about the rest of the innocent civilians forced to endure this unrelenting assault? Rabbi Duchovny has asked us to focus on Jewish values and how they guide our behavior, and that is what we shall do. A few thoughts. First, Judaism teaches that if you destroy one life, it's as if you've destroyed an entire universe. And if you save one life, it's as if you've saved an entire universe. There are a lot of spokes of the wheel of this conversation about the invasion in Ukraine. There's social media, there's mainstream media, there are sanctions, there's political alliances, there are psychological analyses. But if you push that all to the side, the core, the center of it all is the loss of human life. We can engage with all of those other aspects of this conflict, but we must never lose sight of what is at stake at the core. And I worry that sometimes we do lose that focus a little bit. I see Ukrainian flags all over social media. I have yellow flowers in a blue vase in my office. I see stories about President Zelensky and his heroism. I see self-congratulatory reports about seizing the yachts of oligarchs and about the severity of global sanctions against Russia. Ukraine has clearly won the narrative. But at the same time, Ukraine is also clearly losing the war. Democracy is at stake. Sovereignty is at stake. And most importantly, people are at stake. That is where we must use our energy, because to save a single life is to save an entire universe. don't get pulled into the fray. We cannot tweet Ukrainians out of basements. We must give to the organizations that can help save lives. Teaching 2. The rabbis talk about the difference between charity and kindness. They say charity is sparked by witnessing suffering. You give charity when you simply cannot tolerate seeing injustice or human pain, and it's good. It's the right thing to do. But kindness, which we call chesed, is something much deeper. Chesed comes from within. It's a quality in an individual that's present all the time. It's a full-time disposition, not a reflexive act. Chesed is not a reaction. It's a state of being. This war has taken over the minds and imaginations of Americans. And if it compels us to give charity, I say, thank God. But maybe we can even aim a little higher. Because remember, zeitgeist is by definition the opposite of depth. It is fleeting. Activism is not an activity. It is a commitment. So when the war ends and the posting stops, it's on us to continue to care. It's on us not to perform, but to persevere. We must not give charity only. We must live a life of chesed. I would be remiss if I did not mention our own Social Action Committee at this moment. Their work has been an exemplar of this principle. They do charity, and they also live a life of chesed. All year long, they've been working to really help refugees, to partner with organizations like Highest or Ruth's Refuge to help welcome refugees from Afghanistan and around the globe. If you're interested in that kind of work, I urge you to be in touch with them. The opportunities are there, waiting for us to engage. Charity is an admirable action. Chesed is a lifestyle. Point 3, final point. Rabbi Duchovny, my colleague, ended his remarks with thoughts of hope of a new season, and I will do the same. Hope is a necessary response to tragedy. Purim is around the corner, and it's a good example. A season of rejoicing and a story of survival. With all their attempts to destroy us, Dafka, we're still here. We are survivors, remnants of all those ancient people. We're keeping Judaism alive through our traditions, our practice, and our knowledge. We're teaching it to our children when we lie down and when we rise up, and that's not easy. I know it's not. We are a hopeful people. We end each Passover Seder with the iconic words, next year in Jerusalem. We know it might not happen. It probably won't, but we hope it will. And so we say it with passion. We hope for a better age, a messianic age. It doesn't seem like that's where we're headed right now, but still, we have hope. I've been thinking a lot lately about how Moses never got into the promised land. It seems so unfair, harsh. I'll probably never get over it. But the more I think about it, the more I decided it sort of gives me hope. If he had entered the promised land, the story, our story, would be over. Yes, it would have a happy ending, but still, it would have been a closed book. Beginning, middle, end, completed. But it's not. It's unfinished. It goes on. Life continues. I don't think that the Messianic age where Moses enters that promised land is around the corner. But I don't think the story is finished either. We will go on. Our hope for a brighter future will not be dimmed. We hope for the people of Ukraine, for their sovereignty, and mostly for their safety. May they be delivered to the shores of shelter. May freedom reign over their lives, and we hope that a blanket of peace will sweep over them and over the world entire. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. The Baruch Hu, page 28, please rise.